Hello, I'm a superhero, and this is Lulu, my little kitty cat, and I'm going to be telling you what happened in our adventure on Wednesday night. We started the game with Astra trying to go into the mind of John Irons and find out if what he was telling them was the truth or not. She didn't get anything because his mind was blank. The group divided itself into assisting Yoshi, who seemed to be confused her feet were on the earth and not bringing sunlight into the world, and watching the unconscious sirens. His brain was scrambled by Astra. You people are complicated and making my brain complicated. I need a drink, she said, walking over to the boarded up tavern and tearing its nil door off its engines. Lippy followed and soon helped her as best he could to comfort her. He had a 12-foot long crocodile latched onto his arm and was knocking things around as he tried. Rose, Leon, and Eddie sat down to have some drinks and learn about her story. She didn't say much, rather punched a hole in the top of the rum cask and started guzzling. She'd take a deep breath and almost as if meditating, then eventually started to tell her story. It would be important that her being the newest member, she'd have their shared perspective of not really understanding what was going on. A few minutes passed and Yoshi took a typically long gulp of rum. As she was gathering her thoughts, John Irons hit Astra in some pressure points and caused a heart attack while she was getting ready to radio them. Help, was what Astra said. Ting ran outside to see Astra on her knees, covered in sand and clutching her chest. Struggling to breathe, Irons was gone. Eddie started CPR rhythm as Astra's face went gray. It was working, but Astra was falling unconscious. Yoshi began to laugh and asked if she could punch her in the face. Team said yes. She cracked her knuckles and laid down a series of blows designed to undo the heart attack that was induced on Astra, possibly by Irons. She went back to drinking. Leon went back to the White Star offices to see if Irons was there. He saw nothing, then went to the garage. He saw nothing there either. He began to recover and would need to sit for a while. Leon mentioned that the vehicles were fine, but nobody trusted that. Eddie, a dabbler in cars, examined the Vespas and saw the wires were reworked in any attempt at starting one of them would cause the batteries to ignite and explode. The EV's password was changed, which Rose began to work on. They unanimously decided to change the password to something pornographic, which I will not type here so as not to cause any unease with the reader. Yoshi told her story, recapping the last few episodes from above, but from her perspective. It made it seem like ramblings of a woman suffering delirium tremors. Team 13 and nodded along with it, though. After traveling in Liam's pocket and traveling thousands of miles in under 10 minutes, they landed on a unique island, circumference surrounded by tall mountains. After recovering from their wild journey, they began to debate over what they had done, who was responsible, and what they could do in the future to prevent it, and how they could work to their advantage. That night, the gods seeing them as threats attacked. Bolts, lightning, raging seas, frogs, and other calamities befell them and they hid in caves as they argued more. Isolai, deciding that she'd had enough with almost getting killed by the group, simply walked away. She mentioned something about revenge. Boney grew wings, saying that he'd take care of the source. Yoshi's imaginary friend, Kazoo, left with Trislai, and Liam then looked to the sky and said, I have a plan, and disappeared. It left Yoshi alone as she walked out to the ocean to pray to the rising sun. Amaterasu stepped out of the sun and spoke to her. Switch places with Yoshi, who accepted. Yoshi then became the god and brought light to the worlds. It was fun, but it seemed a hollow experience. It was as if she was not actively participating in it, yet was somehow a spectator, and it was as if another deity was using her to spy on the world. Seeing herself reflected in the water and behind her the shadow of a poor armed man, she thought nothing of it and continued until Team 13 returned her back to the earth, both metaphorically and literally. As Astra began to feel better, the team decided to head towards Kingston and find a boat. Astra, feeling guilty that she'd let Clarence escape, offered to levitate up and see if she could scout around the area. She did. At around 100 feet, the team noticed something had gone wrong. She was no longer floating upwards and instead began to twirl uncontrollably. Her body was like a rag doll, and she had somehow knocked herself out. Nobody had any idea how to get her down. As they debated, a group of half-owl, half-men swooped in and grabbed her. Leon shot at one, killing it. However, they were able to escape with Astra and held in their legs. As they discussed what to do, they received a pin drop from Astra. She could be tracked and was heading north of Kingston. They poked their head over the walls and saw the ocean had now a pink sheen to it, which was getting more colorful by the moment. They also noticed that a long distance away there were trees bending and snapping, as if something was hopping along the branches. What it meant was that the zombies were following it. With a distraction happening, they climbed over the wall and ran. Leon came to life, elegantly tearing the zombies in half, with Lippy, who was now crocodile-free, and Eddie and Rose tried motivating them, but her words were confusing and made sense only to her. Yoshi mostly watched the group and would step in only if she was directly threatened, preferring to drink. They reached the beach, and now water now pink with magenta froth rolling on the sand. As they thought, they saw a large zombie about 25 feet tall, with 4 arms, walk out of the water. They attacked its legs, crippling it, and it was on its hands when Yoshi leapt into the air and decapitated it with the joy of Judas slaying Holofernes. The 5-foot head rolled onto the beach, and colorful blood spread out of its neck and into the ocean. The team ran on, avoiding any zombies they could. Astra was in a huge stadium-sized nest built by trees on top of what is known as Blue Mountain. Here she saw hundreds of man-sized owls with human legs. She took in her surroundings, and the owl people hooted and screeched, twirling their heads and flapping their wings. "She's here!" she heard. The stress got to her, and she almost began to cry. No 15-year-old has ever had as terrible a first day on the job as she had. Nobody. I hope you enjoyed. This was fun. I've been having a lot of fun with this game. I really hope that other people enjoy their games as much as I enjoy playing GURPS with this group of friends. And I don't care which RPG you play, I just hope you have fun. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you later.